Hi, my name is Tommy Walters, and the title of this talk is, and I can't believe I'm saying it, Why Everyone Needs a Fat Lady. You know, it's funny standing up here on this stage, because from up here, because I know from down there, this stage makes it look like, in some way, I know something that you don't. And that's why you're all here, so I can tell you about it. Well, let me tell you. From up here, you all look like a bunch of people who know a heck of a lot more than I do. Basically, what I'm getting at is that you should disillusion yourselves from the fact that I know any more than you do about this. But I have a microphone, and you don't, so get comfy. And if you're thinking, well, he's 17, of course he doesn't know any more than I do about this. Well, I say right back. Because if there's one thing I'm sure of, it's that in this topic, nobody's right is righter than anybody else's right. Anyway, what we're going to be discussing today deals heavily in why we do what we do and how we decide to keep on doing it, and only slightly in metaphorical obese women. Since man has been capable of thought, he's asked the question, why? More specifically, why am I here and what do I do now? While the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy will tell you that the answer is 42, I say that the answer is a fat lady. The concept of the fat lady is drawn from Franny and Zoe by J.D. Salinger. Over the summer, my mother decided to add it to my summer reading list, so if this bombs, we can all blame her. If you're unfamiliar with the story of Franny and Zoe, it's a story about a big family of brothers and sisters, Zoe being the youngest boy and Franny being the youngest girl. Franny starts participating in a sort of cure-all Jesus prayer. You mutter a few words and suddenly you're fulfilled. At this point, she's the only one still living with their mother, Bessie, and her religious choices are starting to take a toll on the family. You see, Franny had just come home from summer stock, which is actors' lingo for a play that runs the summer. And when she got home, if you'll forgive my blogger talk, she couldn't even. She was so absolutely done with the whole acting thing. She raved about the, quote, unskilled laughter coming from the fifth row. Nobody understood her art. There was no appreciation of beauty here. The ushers weren't geniuses. And to that, Zoe told her, quote, that's none of your goddamn business. As if to say, if you're doing it for the appreciation of others, you're doing it wrong. A couple of my friends have this joke, where one of them will make a statement and then look to the other one to, quote, verify his existence. Like his friend's approval made his statements okay. And while it's really, really funny for the rest of us to watch her withdraw her approval, this is specifically what I'm talking about. The idea that we, as thinkers and creators, are bound to our audience. That the only reason that we do what we do is to impress upon our friends and neighbors and colleagues and fellow humans that we exist. Well, Salinger argues that art is more than that. Zoe says to Franny, quote, an artist's only concern is to shoot for some kind of perfection, and on his own terms, not anyone else's. So let me explain the story of Franny and Zoe a little more fully. The entire family was once on a show for precocious young children called Wise Child. Brothers Walt and Waker were going on the show for a little while, and one night Zoe subbed in. They were heading off to do a broadcast, and Zoe started pitching a fit. He said, quote, the studio audience were all morons. The announcer was a moron, the sponsors were morons, and I just damn well wasn't going to shine my shoes for them. They couldn't see him anyway. And Seymour, their eldest brother, says to Zoe that he should shine them anyway. Shine them for the fat lady. Zoe tells Franny, quote, he never did tell me who the fat lady was, but I shine my shoes for the fat lady every time I went on the air again. All the years that you and I were on the program together, if you remember. This terribly clear picture of the fat lady formed in my mind. I had her sitting on the porch all day, swatting flies with her radio going full blast from morning till night. I figured the heat was terrible, and she probably had cancer, and I don't know. Anyway, it seemed goddamn clear to me why Seymour wanted me to shine my shoes when I went on the air. It made sense. And Franny responds, quote, he told me to be funny for the fat lady once. I'd never picture her on the porch, but with very veiny legs, very thick. I had her in an awful wicker chair. She had cancer too, though, and she had the radio going full blast all day. Zoe then says a line which I think is about one of the most beautiful things that I've ever heard. I think that if J.D. Salinger meant The Catcher in the Rye to be a question, and the first 200 pages of this book to be a question, asking, why do we do anything at all? Don't you all realize that you're going to die? Why are you all such phonies who care about cars and houses and status and power and anything at all? Why do you care about anything at all? And I think in the 201st page of Franny and Zoe, Salinger answers that question. Zoe says, quote, "I don't care where an actor acts. It can be in summer stock, it can be over a radio, it can be over television, it can be in a goddamn Broadway theater, complete with the most fashionable, most well-fed, most sunburned looking audience you can imagine. But I'll tell you a terrible secret. Are you listening to me? There isn't anyone out there who isn't Seymour's fat lady. That includes your Professor Tupper buddy and all his goddamn cousins by the dozens. There isn't anyone anywhere who isn't Seymour's fat lady. Don't you know that? Don't you know that goddamn secret yet? And don't you know, listen to me now, don't you know who that fat lady really is? Ah, buddy. Ah, buddy, it's Christ himself. Jesus Christ, buddy." Now, conveniently enough, I'm an actor. So when I read this, it was a revelation to me, and there was much rejoicing. But this can be translated into any job, hobby, lifestyle, or work. Whether you're writing the next great American novel, or you're shoveling snow for your neighbor, or you're kissing your girlfriend, you do it for the fat lady. Let's take this a step further, though. Zoe says that the fat lady is Jesus Christ. I think that's true in some cases, but I think that each person has the right to define their own fat lady. Your friend could be your fat lady. Someone could be their own fat lady. What do you get up in the morning for? What do you go the extra mile for? Your team could be your fat lady. The audience, the people, the fans, or even Jesus Christ, like Zoe said. Every morning, I lace up my shoes, I put some gel in my hair as I look myself in the eye, and I get ready for the day. And I think about that old woman wasting away on that porch in the late July sun at about 2 in the afternoon. She's the stranger who says hello. She's the customer in front of you in line at the grocery store who doesn't have quite enough money to pay for the groceries that day, who you give $1 to. She's the one you think of before you go to bat with 2 outs in the bottom of the 9th and the bases loaded. She's the kid that you hoist up from a drink from the water fountain because his grandmother isn't quite strong enough to do it anymore. She's the grandmother, too. Who is all of these people for you? The one that you won't let down no matter what, who you would never lie to or shortchange. I'm going to stay up the extra hour and study because I know if this person were watching, it'd make them proud. And you know what? Maybe it's no one at all. No one and nothing. But you get up in the morning and you work your hardest because the hell with it. That's what you're going to do. I do things because of because. I guess there is some logic behind because. So to all you Holden Caulfields out there, to all you despairers, you prophets of futility, you askers of the question, why do anything at all? We're all going to die anyway. You're all a bunch of phonies. I say because. Because I would let my friend down. Because I would let my God down. Because I would let myself down. Because I would let the fat lady down. Or simply, I just say because. In the less than immortal words of the father character in the not quite so immortal movie, Take Me Home Tonight, just take wild shots. Hell. It's something just to hear the gun go off. Or, if you'd like it put a little more eloquently, sound your yawp, Walt Whitman. So, I want to tell you guys a story. Every day, well, admittedly not every day, but most days, I go running. And every time I go running, I pass this house at the very bottom of my street. And it's one of those houses that it seems like the entire town just sort of sprung up around it and it was left behind. Like, maybe once they had neighbors, but now there's just a bunch of stores surrounding it. And in that house lives an old man. He's probably maybe late 60s, he has graying hair, and it's cut like an old army sergeant. And he just sits on his driveway and watches the world go by every day. Every single time I pass him, he gives me a little nod and a wave, and I give him a little salute, and we go our separate ways. That is the entirety of our relationship. I must have passed him 100 times, and I've never said a word to him. Every single time I pass him, it's that little nod and a wave. And that's all of our relationship. And that leads me to one of my favorite concepts. I was scrolling down Tumblr the other day, and I saw this post, sort of like a dictionary entry. It said, Zeno, the smallest measurement of human interaction. Like a flirtatious glance or a knowing smile. Whether or not it's actually true is still up for debate, and it's probably a testament to my bad researching skills that I couldn't find it anywhere else. Anyway, I'm in love with the concept of the Zeno because I love sharing that moment with someone. And that moment of shared experience, they validate your existence. Sometimes I like to think in my own little fringe world that they don't actually exist. That the minute that I turn around, they disappear. That old man is merely a projection, a reflection of myself, or of Jesus Christ, or my mother, or whoever the fat lady is. And that nod he's giving me isn't an old man smiling and saying hi. It's the fat lady telling me I'm on the right track, wherever that track leads. So really what the fat lady is internal motivation. The topic of today's conference is sustaining innovation. Well, how did they do it before? When you have a gift, you don't create to make money, although money is nice. You create because it's what you do. It's your identity. It's who you are. Albert Einstein could have just been some German guy with funny hair, but he had an internal motivation, a dedication to science and to the advancement of humankind. And he was fulfilled because of it. External motivators are great ways to get pharmaceutical companies to invest in a certain type of drug, or to get airline giants to create a faster fighter jet for the government. But it's no way to foster innovation in individuals. We discover, create, think, and are curious because of something inside of us, an internal motivation. We climbed Everest because it was there to climb, because we, not as individuals, but as humans, made it to the top. Humankind achieved that. When we landed on the moon, that achievement was certainly born of competition. But when we got there, and we came home, and the astronauts returned home, and they took their tour of the world, they were surrounded with the message, we did it. We, humankind, did it. Shoot for Beverly Hills and you'll never be fulfilled. But find your internal motivation and it won't matter where you are. So, you want to know that goddamn secret Zoe was talking about? Sustaining innovation is about believing in something. Anything, nothing, but at least something. It gives an individual a reason to be, and thus a reason to create, and to leave something behind for humankind. Maybe one day, when you get tired from creating, you'll get lost and find yourself in that little podunk town in the sky. And that cancerous old woman sitting there on our porch swing will give you the most satisfying smile you'll ever get. Go find your fat lady. Thank you.